Welcome back, Aries. Thank you so much for being here for your bi-weekly messages. My name is Emily Gear. I'm a transformative energy healer and a multi-dimensional channel. So we are going to get into your messages for the next 2 weeks. Also, surprise, surprise, we are having our extended relationship messages this week. So the link to that is in the description box below. I'm going to be answering a few questions in those readings and then going forward with my usual kind of freestyle read for the energy of the relationship. So I will provide that info in the description box as well. If you find that you would like a private reading with me, you can do that by scheduling it on my website, which is IamEmilyGear.com. Okay, so without further ado, let's get the messages for these source messages for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus for the next 2 weeks, please. Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. This is a huge chunk of cards. I'm going to keep shuffling. In fact, I'm going to change up my shuffling. Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus for the next 2 weeks, please. Okay. All right. You are starting with the 6 of Coins, which Pisces also just got, and the High Priestess. The message that's coming through at this second is that you guys have a deepening awareness right now of where things are maybe out of place in your life, maybe not balanced. What I'm really hearing right now is like, what have you been giving a lot of your time and effort to that is not really worth it? Like, essentially, it's a reorganizing of priorities. I feel like there's a lot of guidance coming through right now. I just pulled out the Star as well. This card was just calling to me. I feel like there's a lot of guidance right now as to reordering the priorities in your life. I think that what's contributing to it is that there are a lot of like mental push. There's a lot of like mental chatter, or has been in the past, a lot of mental chatter based upon old templates and old belief systems that had you pouring tons of effort and energy into something which maybe didn't deserve the focus that you were giving it. So whether this was like an extracurricular type activity, maybe this was a job that you were trying to make work out and it just wasn't. Maybe it's a relationship that you were trying to make work out based upon wanting to conform to someone else's idea of what you needed to be. So these are all things that are based upon not your truth, okay? There's like your truth and there is not your truth. And if in some way you were trying to make something work based upon old belief systems, things that are no longer true for you, okay? One that's coming to the surface so you can better maybe understand what the heck I'm trying to say here is, if you had the belief system that a good person makes something work no matter what, okay? Especially considering like relationships, or considering like a job or something where you are pulling in your resources and the things that support your family and yourself, etc. And you have been obviously in a position of being disempowered and working against your true core belief, okay, or who you are at your core, by continuing to filter energy into making something work that is clearly here to teach you a lesson and not meant to, it's basically meant to highlight the places where you are not in alignment with your own truth, okay? And continuing to try to force those things to mesh and to integrate is continuing to not be in your truth. Okay, so I feel like you are finally starting to see where that is happening in your life. All of those messages come down to you're finally starting to see on maybe not super conscious, but you're kind of feeling this like inkling of this shit ain't right, okay? And a lot of what isn't right about that could absolutely be internal. I mean, it is internal, but some of it could be them, the way that they're reacting to you, the way they treat you, the way a job is treating you, any of that kind of stuff. All right. So that requires a different kind of action. But for a lot of you, it's fully internal. It's got to do with your own way of focusing on this problem. And it's almost like if you can shift the internal focus, then everything starts to fall into alignment. That thing, that job, that activity, that group, that relationship begins to get a more appropriate level of focus from you. It doesn't mean that all these things necessarily need to be removed from your life. They may be there for a really specific reason. They might actually be positive or do good things for you on some level. But the thing that is out of whack has to do with your beliefs surrounding that thing. All right. Now, I'm not Aries, although my South node is in Aries, but I will give you an example from my own life. I have often talked about how I do martial arts, and I had centralized that to my life in such a way that I was actually, I think I was overdoing it. It was so important to me to succeed in that forum that I was putting myself at risk in a lot of different ways. And it was just like this week where I was like, dude, you do not need to do this. Like, you are good and stable and like, I don't know, you are loved by the universe, whether or not you suck or succeed at jujitsu. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where you have been pouring an insane amount of attention into something, which, like, there's nothing wrong with jujitsu. I think it's brought me a lot of amazing lessons. It's good for me on a lot of different levels, but it's the way that I was framing it in my mind that was unhealthy. And so that is the message I want to bring to you today. Like, I feel like that's where you may be with something in your life. This is definitely a huge healing. I feel like this is a huge step forward. Light years forward is kind of the feeling I'm getting from this star card. That in releasing that particular program that has not been healthy for you, you are able to release a whole lot of other things. So that program for me had something to do with, I feel like it honestly at the core had to do with acceptance in a group. I think that's what it was. It's like desperately wanting to be accepted. And realizing that my acceptance lies within myself, obviously, of course, we all intellectually know this, but really making that, central to my own core belief system is allowing that same idea to be applied across the board in everything that I do. And that is allowing sort of a jump forward. All right, a collapsing of timelines, which also just came up in the Pisces reading. A healing on a large scale, on a high scale, which is what I feel like is happening for you guys. A healing on a large scale, I want to say like a high level healing. And that's kind of weird that, I don't know, don't take that literally, but what it feels like to me is it affects a lot of things in your life, okay? Just like I apply my healing across the board, whatever this is for you applies across the board to heal a lot of things and to move you forward toward your own truth, your own destiny in a lot quicker manner than you would have been in the past. It was what you were doing in the past was holding you back, essentially. All right, so now we have the Hanged Man with the King of Swords. This is funny. This also came out for Pisces. So there's something going on right now. And of course, your sign is right next to Pisces in the chart. So it could have to do, when this happens, I feel like it has to do with some particular planetary junction or planetary transit or conjunction, because you are located the house next to the house of Pisces. So this is very interesting. So the Hanged Man with the King of Swords. This to me is a similar message in that I feel like the thing that was hanging you up, right? Holding you up, holding you back. Oh my gosh, our 10 minutes are already up. The thing that was holding you back, hanging you up, you're beginning to see that from an objective point of view, which is like basically what I just said before. And you're going to be able to make the changes based upon your own personal truth, which you are now in contact with, which you are now in touch with, and you might not have been in the same way before. It's got to do with your own perception, right? With the Hanged Man showing up. You're changing that perception in relation to what you're realizing is really real for you, all right? And that is being done on a really objective level, I feel like, for you guys. So that means there might be things that you do decide to kind of remove from your life. There might be things that you reprioritize, like I was saying before. And it could be that some people take that poorly, or, you know, it might not even involve other people. So it's okay. Yeah, here's the 10 of Swords coming up. It might mean that certain things either are completely ended and removed from your life, especially really painful circumstances where you're like, I am not doing this anymore. But this could also be about the way that you think about things. You know, again, talking about the King of Swords, talking about the programming. And you might just say to yourself, I am literally not going to get upset about competing with other people anymore. I am literally just not going to allow myself to fall into the addiction of cyclical thinking regarding being left behind, or being accepted by certain people, or codependency. This could be the end of codependency here for you. For some of you, it's absolutely about that. So you're ending certain cycles in your life. You could also be removing different people or situations from your life, which you are now seeing from a higher perspective or from a more objective perspective. And you're like, this is not helping me. This is not serving me. We're cutting this out. And the difference here from what it was like for you before, I think, is this new perspective that you have. It is more objective. You are no longer wrapping your personal feelings and emotions up in things. And if you are, then consider what it can do for you when you change that perspective, when you see it from the perspective of the star, when you see it from the higher perspective, when you look down upon it from the perspective of source, creator, whatever, okay? Even just your higher self, all right? So I am going to end it for you there today, guys, but there is an extended relationship reading. So how are the energies looking for the next 2 weeks in relationships for Aries? Check that out below. I'm also going to list the questions that we look into, and then of course there will be a freestyle read at the end of that, more like what I normally do. Okay. All right, guys, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your likes, your comments, your shares. And knowing if this has resonated with you at all, please do share that with me when you feel the urge. Okay. All right. So I will see you guys over on Vimeo with the extended read, or if not, then I will see you in another couple weeks. Thanks, guys. Bye.